Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy right here, MMA Reloaded, and welcome to the first edition of our podcast, episode 001, man. And you are a part, folks, of something real special. And whilst we wait for our first special guest to join us, you know what? It is a podcast was something that I've always wanted to do. Yeah, because folks, if you've been following us before we started the resurrection, then you would know the hard work, the grit, the determination that went to building MMA Reloaded, the work, the posts, videos, followers going down, followers going up, likes going up, likes going down. I did this and I do this for the passion and I do this for the pride of being an MMA fan. And folks, this ain't no subterfuge. I'm not here today to get 1 million likes or 1 million followers or 1 million views. Although that would be beautiful. That would be amazing. That would cement a point that I've been trying to make for a long time. Now, folks, MMA is changing. MMA has changed. MMA goes through errors. It goes through ups. It goes through downs. Financially, fighters frustrated. You have fights being cancelled and fighters being released. You know what? I am so honored to have a first guest today, like the assassin Anthony Anjakawani. And whilst we wait for Anthony to come down, it will be around about another 15 to 20 minutes, folks. But before Anthony comes on the show, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone in advance for tuning in. Folks, in this difficult time, if you follow MMA Reloaded story, you follow us on Instagram, you follow us on Facebook, we're also on Twitter. You will see the passion and pride that I post everything up with. Try and give the fans what they want, because I am a fan and I'm speaking to the fans as a fan. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not speaking objectively. I am speaking to you neutrally. I am speaking as a fan, and I am speaking as an analyst. I'm speaking as a broadcaster. Now, early on in MMA Reloaded's career, when I started the page and when MMA Reloaded developed, I made all these stupid stories about about putting me on a desk for UFC UK or a UFC London show, not on the commentary desk, but backstage and on the desk, on like the pre-show or the post-show. You know what? I feel that right now, with the UFC canceling events and with the UFC, fighters pulling out and Dana White securing the island to do UFC 249, and then the island goes and UFC 249 goes. It's something that, you know what, you can't help. You cannot help it. It's nothing to do with the fighters. It's nothing to do with the fight. No one's got injured. It's COVID-19. This situation, folks, this pandemic, hundreds of thousands of people have lost their lives, they've lost their loved ones. It's sad, and it's sad to watch, it's sad to hear on the news. And if you're in the UK, um, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson has may extend this lockdown for another year. This is something that we cannot really help. You might feel bored at home. You might feel like, oh shit, why am I here? You might get frustrated, but I have to say, there is nothing to get frustrated about. You take this opportunity to be one with yourself. You take the opportunity to spend time with your family. If you got kids, you take this time to spend time with your kids. If you know you feel that if you feel that you're getting out of shape, home workouts for real. Probably the best thing. And you know what, folks, it's so heartfelt to see the effort and the integrity of the NHS being restored, because they are showing the public right now this is what we can do when a pandemic strikes. Temporary hospitals being built, and I have to say, clapping for the NHS at 8 p.m. every day is, in my opinion, it's not enough. A simple clap, it may make a difference, and it shows appreciation, but you cannot fathom it. You cannot fathom the amount of work that the NHS has done with a simple clap. You know what, folks, and like you could go on all day about COVID-19, but the fact of the matter is, um, the world will take its time to rebuild. And you know, folks, and that's about all I have to say about that. It will take time. So you have to be patient, you have to wait, and you have to relax. On other note, MMA, tune in to Instagram tune into Instagram to see our story. Yesterday in the UFC, history was made. Yesterday, the 10th of April, 2005. Not 2007. My fault. 2007. So 13 years ago, Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner went into a war of mixed martial arts history. If you watch 25 years short UFC, you'll see how much the UFC actually gives credit to that first season of the Ultimate Fighter. You see how much the UFC says that, you know what, if it wasn't for these guys putting on the show they put, who knows where we would have been today. And that's the thing, you know, you can't really put it into words, because it's one of them things that you sort of see as the UFC sees it as an opportunity. And since then, the Ultimate Fighter has grown and grown and grown with more on the line than just a contract. You've seen championships on the line in seasons of the Ultimate Fighter, title shots on the line in the flyweight season of the Ultimate Fighter. You've seen undefeated fighters gather up and bring their skills to the Ultimate Fighter. And folks, the man who will join us as a special guest today can attribute to can attribute the he can relate, not attribute. He can relate to what an Ultimate Fighter should be. He can relate to the ups and downs that a fighter experiences because he's been there himself. Anthony Andrikawani is perhaps a man who can probably relate to being in the big time and having that taste of the big show, feeling the pressure. You know what? It's when the Ultimate Fighter first started, and you kind of have that finale, and fighters know that they're not competing in the UFC gym anymore. They're competing in front of MGM Grand or the Hard Rock, or at that time, it, in my opinion, Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonner turned it up that night, and I was proud to watch it, and I was proud to watch it live. It's man, I gotta say, it was something that sort of put the UFC on the map. Now we look at MMA going up 13 years, 15 years later, you kind of see that MMA has become a lot more than just competition in the cage. Although that's what I primarily think it should be. And I've said it a lot of times. MMA should be primarily competition in the cage. It should be about dignity. It should be about stepping in there one on one and telling the other guy that, bro, you know what? I'm going to speak with my actions. I'm not going to speak with my words. And that is exactly how the UFC needs to go back to. This trash talking's easy, man. Building a crowd can be so simple at a press conference. Because, bro, it takes one or two swear words. It takes a couple of yo mama jokes. It takes a couple of, oh, but he's shit and he's shit too. It takes all this crap and smack talk, swearing, um, taking a piss out of maybe a time when your opponent got knocked the fuck out in one of his fights. It's about getting under your opponent's skin and psychologically having the edge. But if you didn't psychologically have the edge, and this is something that sort of befuddles me a lot, is smack talk can be one of these things um where it can confuse a fighter so much. It can be one of those things that, okay, I never had beef with this guy before, so why is he so why is he trying to shit on me now? It's not something that the UFC need. The UFC have gotten a lot of publicity from just press conferences. It's the UFC have gotten publicity from press conferences. It's been one of those things that you can't really put your finger on, but you can sort of say, you know what? A press conference like Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, that press conference and the fight, yeah, were so good together. And folks, my point is that there ain't a point, really. My point is clear. Trash talking and smack talking your opponent in the cage while you're fighting them, like Nick Diaz and Nate do with their opponents, and Nate did it with Michael Johnson on his return. Did it with Conor McGregor. Nick did it with with Robbie Lawler early in that career. Stockton, motherfucker, Stockton. And you know what? It's entertaining. It is, man. I would have to say that right now. The stuff that they come out with is entertaining, but it's the fact is it necessary? You might say, well, it's super necessary. Or you might say, well, you know what? I'm going to let my actions speak louder than words. And there are still fighters like that in the UFC. Tony Ferguson, Khabib, I'd have to say Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje are two guys who embody that spirit. James Vick, where do I start with that guy? James Vick was a guy who I had tremendous respect for, and he earned his shot. He was number 10 at lightweight before he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. He was in the top 10. And he was high flying. He was a kid that everyone was looking at as being a next world champion. But shit talking in a press conference and taking a piss out of Justin and then getting you knocked out, that's not a combination. That is not what James Vick hoped would happen. And after that, fall from grace. And it's a shame. And I think that happens, that sort of correlates with today. And today's hype trains that, you know what, he's coming in, he's undefeated, like Ben Askren. Ben Askren, perfect example. Although Ben was old in his career when he came in, but he was undefeated, and a lot of people expected a lot from Ben, calling him the best grappler and best wrestler in MMA. But Ben proved my point. He proved that that shit talk doesn't get you anywhere unless necessary. Shit talk doesn't get you anywhere unless it is necessary. It's one of those things, man. In my opinion, it's just. I mean, shit talking, trash talking it's a piece of shit, bro. And you can't fathom the effort it takes to sit at a press conference and say fuck this and fuck you and his mama bought tickets and surprise and I'm sorry I'm late, I just don't give a fuck about that. It's entertaining. It brings the showtime and the entertainment into MMA. But if your fight doesn't live up to that hype that you created at the press conference, which is my point, if your fight don't live up to the hype you created at press conference, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, man. You're basically just making empty promises, if you will. You know what? We should be getting Anthony Njokuani live right now. It's just game on. Folks, it is I know the quality ain't that great. Yeah, the quality ain't that great, but it is what it is at the moment. Trying to fix that issue, but I'm not really focused on the thing. To me, man, as long as you can see me and as long as you can hear me, it's all good. The thing is, folks, as we hold up for Anthony Andrew Kawani to get on the podcast, um, it's one of these things that, you know what, man, my point has been proven a lot about hyping fights and the fight not living up to the hype, or fighters being hyped coming into the UFC and not living up to their potential, not living up to their promise. And it could be that, take Yair Rodriguez, perfect example of Yair. Yeah, Yair Rodriguez to me was a guy who took the UFC ball, the UFC banner, ran with it, came in hyped up, came in as a hype train, lived up to the hype train. He was throwing spinning shit all over the place. And you know what? When he went to face Frankie Edgar, you know, everyone thought that, yeah, he is going to beat old Frankie and he's going to find the answer to the answer and all this stuff. Man, let me tell y'all what happened in that fight. Yeah. And I'll be real with you right now. Frankie Edgar humbled a very, very confident and very talented kid. He humbled him. You know what? It's and then Yair come back to Yair came back and told the UFC that, you know what, you give me another shot and I will make it rain. And he did that. He did that against Korean zombie Chan Sung Jung. And it was one of those things that you couldn't really put your finger on. It was such a huge show for the UFC. And it was their anniversary event, 25 years, Denver, Colorado. And you had Yair Rodriguez and Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie, put on a fucking show. They showed everybody exactly what they're all about, exactly what the UFC is all about. And Yair Rodriguez stock went right up with that fight. It was a fight where you couldn't, oh man, you couldn't really put your finger on it. It was amazing. It was literally amazing. So trying to get Anthony on the stream right now. Sorry about the delay, folks. It is what it is. It's just a pilot episode right now, and I guarantee that MMA Reloaded will be better, bigger, and better as the podcasts go on. You know what? It's something that you can't really put into words, man. What a podcast actually feels like. You're going in, you're live. Uh, shit quality or not, I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered about the turnout. Uh, Fans, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment. Do not hesitate to subscribe for notifications for a chance to win an MMA Reloaded t-shirt, MMA Reloaded shirt, MMA Reloaded merch is coming soon. We will be doing question and quiz giveaways. You get the answer right, you will receive an MMA Reloaded merch accessory. Folks, this is MMA Reloaded. You are tuned in. And you know what? It's to me, man. It's all about speaking from the heart. It's all about speaking real. What MMA Reloaded has done, what I've done to bring content to you guys, and even in this difficult time, I still find myself posting content to keep the spirit up and to not let you guys down. You know what? The page is for the people and it's inspired by the people. And what the UFC has done with UFC 249 and with all the other events, UFC 250, I would say all the way up until June or July, we will see a lot of these delays. We'll see a lot of these cancellations come up. It's not something I'm particularly proud to say as a fanboy as well as an analyst. I'm actually on. Uh, I was actually on a trip to see. Uh, I was actually on a trip because I was marking the fuck out when Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson got announced, and then being here and listening to Dana White saying he secured an island, it it blew my mind away because Dana White, respect him or not, cares about putting on a show. He cares about putting on a show. And we know how much he doesn't like canceling events. He hates canceling events. He had to cancel John Jones versus Dan Henderson. I don't know how many of you guys remember that. He had to cancel John Jones and Dan Henderson. That was the first time the UFC actually canceled an event. And I was like, I was like saying, holy shit. Imagine if that fight actually came back and Dan Henderson and John Jones actually went 1-on-1. Who would have won? The thing is, man, cancellations, especially with the situation going on right now, is inevitable. It's something that the UFC prides themselves on, is putting on a show for the fans despite the situation. Dana White has always said, you know what, fuck COVID-19, I will put on my show. And for that, I respect Dana. I respect Dana a lot. I respect what Dana has to offer. I respect how much Dana has, how much effort Dana has put in, and the UFC have put in into trying to make UFC 249, trying to make UFC 250 happen. Dominic Cruz stepping in for Jose Aldo, and 7 Brazilian fighters going out of UFC 250 because of travel issues. You can't really say that what we do and how the fighters are just like us. The fighters are human beings. They are just like us. They don't really you can't really help it. Humans are humans, and COVID-19 has basically fucked the world up. Excuse my language. It's basically fucked the world up. I'm not on Fox. This is MMA Reloaded. I can speak the way I want. The thing is I do not blame the UFC. I do not blame the fighters for pulling out. I do not blame the UFC for canceling. The best thing, in my opinion, to do is to withhold all events, which is what they've done. They've withheld all events, and if I'm not wrong, we will hear an update on the 18th of April, 2020. Now, folks, another thing I'd like to say and talk about is are the promotions. Now, I was actually relying on Anthony being with us during this time. I apologize for letting you guys down. It's late. I wanted to get on the air about 2 o'clock UK time to be with Anthony and to get on live with him so we can start so I can talk business. And folks, if and he is one of our biggest supporters on MMA Reloaded, and he was supporting us even before we got shut down the first time. I thought that story hurts every time I speak about it. It hurts every time I speak about the first time I got shut down. Is you can't is when BT shut me down. Now BT shut me down. BT stands for British Telecom, folks, and British Telecom's BT Sport. It wasn't BT, it was BT Sport that shut me down because they thought I copyrighted the Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz 2 fight to put on my IGTV. Now, folks, I have to say this, man, that all this copyright allegation, all this bullshit is just that. It's bullshit. And if I'm gonna be real honest right now, I don't know who reports me for these things. Somebody actually reported me for making my own video with my own face. I ain't gonna copyright myself. Somebody else reported me. And I have to say, man, whoever that hater is, man, hate is gonna be haters, really, innit? And you can't say that uh copyright and this and that. How do you know someone's copyright sign? What, just by screen recording? To me, man, that's not copyright. Fuck that. Fight is publicly viewed, man, everywhere. There's got to be millions of people recording this shit. But the thing is, they're right, man. You can't do it. You can't do it, man. So it's wrong. If you want to record it, go live. The and the, you know, and folks, it's as a fanboy, I be always wanted to be sort of someone who could voice their opinions, because I was a part of a few MMA social media pages before this. I was an administrator on 2 MMA social media pages before I started MMA Reloaded, and there was a few guys that I would see posting, and I would follow a lot of MMA pages before this, and I could see how fucking uneducated they were. Simple as uneducated. You think that guys can just join an MMA page just to get likes and to get views, or they can comment and post on a damn group on Facebook, MMA group on Facebook, and expect to have 100 likes and no dislikes. Well, you're wrong. I hate seeing that, man. I hate people giving views and opinions when they don't know the facts. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know the ins and outs. With something like MMA, it's not WWE. It's not professional wrestling. It's real as it can get, and you can't really say to the fan that you can't really say to the fans that I'm trying to pull a wall over your head and I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll write something down anyway. You can't do that because you'll end up getting railroaded. Then you'll end up getting turned into a meme. Then, uh, then you'll shit your pants, thinking, "Why did you write that?" And or what's gonna happen to your ass now? The thing is starting MMA Reloaded was just that. If I can go back to that story, I know I've been talking about a lot of things here, folks, including press conferences and including um hype trains and all this stuff. But if I can go back to talking about MMA Reloaded for a sec, where I kind of saw the um I kind of took everything I learned about the sport over the past 12 years of watching it. And I kind of put it together. I kind of put it two on two, man. I put two and two together, and I saw how MMA grew, and it grew, and I watched it grow, and I was so proud to start MMA Reloaded, so I could connect and interact with real fans, real people, and talk educated MMA talk. Um, and you know what? Before, folks, before this page that we have right now, we had one before. MMA Reloaded, same name, over 2,000 followers. And I had a lot of fighters connect with me. I had a lot of fighters DM me. Um, and a lot of people like what I was doing because I was talking facts. Um, being a fan myself, I kind of can relate to what people's opinions mean, what people say when they comment on other people's shit, and you kind of see that, oh, he ain't talking facts. Well, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. People are always entitled to their opinions, but some opinions actually do piss people off because you can't you can't say say something stupid thinking about what you say. You can't railroad a fighter um, unnecessarily. Like I saw a few about Ronda Rousey. Now, Ronda Rousey would actually be the perfect example of that. When people started railroading Ronda after she lost to Holly Holm, that Holly Holm basically picked every hole in Ronda Rousey's game and she picked it out and she basically said to Ronda that, you know what, I just knocked your ass out. Everyone started feeling, some people felt sorry for Ronda, and Ronda was going on Ellen DeGeneres and stuff and talking about depression. And I was like, okay, maybe she's depressed because of that time. And even now, folks, mental health with fighters is a big issue. Um, she was going on Ellen, she was depressed, she was talking about depression, and then she ends up um, at the WWE. Now, WWE is, folks, as we know, it's choreographed. I'm not going to say it's fake. I'm a professional wrestling fan. Um, and I'm not going to say WWE or professional wrestling is fake. It's choreographed. It's rigged, if you will. The winners are predetermined, but the action is not fake. You want to try to take a jump off a 20-foot ladder? Go ahead. But my point, getting back onto the point, my point is when when you railroad a fighter on social media like Ronda Rousey and like people were criticizing Rousey so much after that Holly Holm fight that you got to be sure that what you're saying is 100% bulletproof. No one can come back on that. Um, Folks, another thing I want to talk about is promotions. Now, and big promotions out there, as we know, folks. Um, as we know, folks, the UFC ain't the only big promotion out there. There are so many, and well, not so many, if you know what I mean. Notable promotions include Bellator, which is number 2, in my opinion. Number 3 is PFL MMA. Yeah, I like Bellator. I like watching some fights. Okay, Bellator. If you look at the undercard, folks, you look at the main card, you would think, who the hell are these guys? Who are these guys? And Bellator, what they're trying to do is something which I respect very much. They're trying to grow their own. They're trying to give young fighters a chance at the big show. If you look at the undercard, they have young guys on that card. They have, they have former Ultimate Fighter competitors who may not have made it, but may have the promise to make it. You may see on the main card, oh, I don't know who this is. Yeah, let's research him. So, and you may see that, guys, at Bellator, because Bellator have stars. They got a star-powered roster. But Scott Coker and the matchmaking team sort of see and sort of give these young guys a chance and give different guys a chance at title shots. They used to do the tournament bracket back in the day, and I was a huge fan of the tournaments and the Grand Prix at Bellator. And I hope they do them again, because that actually proved who the best actually is. We saw Michael Page get knocked out by Douglas Lima, and everyone thought Michael Page was the shit. Everyone thought Michael Page was the shit, but he's not. All right, he ain't. And you thought that, in the heavyweight Grand Prix back in the day at Bellator, where Rampage Jackson was in there, Alexander Volkov, we actually determined who the toughest SOB was. And Bellator, that's what I loved about watching Bellator. And now a promotion that actually takes that stance right now is PFL MMA, formerly the World Series of Fighting, and now turned into the Professional Fighters League, made by Sugar Ray Sefo, who is a kickboxing legend, a legend in the sport. Ray Sefo, and having an investor like Iron Mike Tyson in your promotion is something to behold. Mike Tyson sort of elevated the publicity, sitting in the crowd front row and putting PFL Public on his Instagram and Twitter. There was so much respect for Mike Tyson and PFL coming in, and I have to say it was fantastic to watch. PFL grow, and PFL's first shows, they're up to PFL 9 or PFL 8. I remember the finale, New Year's Eve 2019. I was watching. I was actually with my brother, and I was like, and okay, say you want to do fire? Well, it's cool. I want to watch PFL. I'm sitting there. It's about 12:01, 2020, 1st of January, and I'm like, okay, I want to watch some PFL. I want to see my favorite fighter at PFL during that time, and during this time, is Ray Cooper III. Now, Ray is He's like the Max Holloway of PFL. Hawaiian, tough as hell, resilient, got the heart, he's got the talent, he's got the all-round ability to make shit happen, and he ends up winning the welterweight championship. And he ends up winning the welterweight championship at the New Year's Eve final. I was like, oh my god, why the fuck didn't I watch that? Um, that's what I'm saying. PFL, I have so much respect for, because you will never hear complaints from the fighters. You will never hear bad publicity, because the fighters are being paid fairly. I mean, getting paid $1 million for a tournament where you bust your ass, it's worth all the hard work. All the hard work, it is worth it. And I praise Ray Sefo for reinventing his promotion. I praise Mike Tyson, a legend who, man, if you look at his Instagram, he's still got it. Folks, I mean, that brings me to my next, which is one championship. Now, one championship for me is perhaps one of the best promotions in the world. It could even compete with the UFC. They have such recognizable stars. They are just like the UFC do in the US. ONE FC have made their name in Asia, Myanmar, Singapore. They've done it all in the Asian market. And Chatri Sidiadong, I think his name. I'm so sorry if I got the name wrong. Chatri is the owner of ONE FC. The president of ONE FC is Rich Ace Franklin. Man, and you got Rich Franklin, Misha Tate, a part of the ONE FC team. These guys are a promotion that embodies old school martial arts. You see clinics in there. You don't see guys swinging wild. You don't see guys talking trash. You see showtime. You see entertainment, but they culminate all that showtime and entertainment with pure martial arts action, one-on-one. These guys are amazing. The stuff they pull out, the action, the kicks, the striking, it's poetic to watch. It's like you're watching Bruce Lee movies, or you're watching Jackie Chan, or you're watching Jet Li. You're watching a real life martial arts action movie in that cage, and it's not. It's as real as it gets. Folks, that is all we have time for today on the first edition of MMA Reloaded, the podcast. I apologize to my fans because I did promise Anthony Njokuani. He did agree, but he has not replied to he has not replied to my message. He's not replied to the invite. So I will take care of that. Maybe a difficulty on his side. It is a difficult time right now. So I'm not gonna get annoyed. I'm not gonna get no point. I understand exactly how difficult this time is. But I just want to apologize to the fans anyway, because I promised a star, and hopefully next time, folks, on MMA Reloaded, the podcast, episode 2, Anthony Njokuani will be live with us. And I thank you all for tuning in. And the gentleman who commented already on the first episode about the quality of the picture, I do apologize, bro. It's a work in progress at the moment. It's only the pilot. So be patient with me. I'm only one guy. I don't have a PR or a marketing department. It's just me operating and owning it, bro. and I will work hard on improving the quality and improving the videos day by day, folks. Stay tuned, follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever y'all feel comfortable. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for tuning in.